So, even though Mother Nature threw everything at us, I'm here. And I'm here to talk about something that is very fundamental. Not to our belief system, because it's true. We have no idea where to draw the line between reality and beliefs. Now, so far belief system is concerned, you have to remember there was a time when people believed that the earth was flat. It was a belief. They didn't know, but they believed. And because they believed, it was also understood that you don't just keep going on the ocean, because if you did, you'll fall off. And you see, that's the problem with the belief. If you didn't travel and you believed, not a problem. But there was a reality that existed. And the reality that existed was that the earth was not flat. It was in fact round. And so what difference did it make? But the big difference that it made was all the fear that people had of falling off from earth was not true. That they didn't need to be afraid, that they could venture, they could go places, and they would be okay. In the same way, I find that people have beliefs about what peace is. Now, you saw all those videos, this award, that award. But the reality is, I have been speaking on this subject for 52 years. When I first started, my first discourse, I was 4 years old. It was in September. I would have become 5 that year, but I was born in December. So I was technically 4 years. Now, putting it into perspective for me personally, I left in January, the day of my grandson's birthday. I celebrated his birthday in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I left for this tour. And in his celebrating his birthday, he was pretty happy. But what is peace? If I was to ask him, I don't know what he would say. I'm sure he would say something, because he's a very bold fellow. So he'd say something. I don't know what. Since that time, every single year, multiple times, I've been talking to people about peace, about contentment, about the possibility that exists in this life. And I've been in a very unique position, because there I was, very, very young, and adults 40 years, 50 years, 60 years of age would come to argue with me. To argue with a little boy. I mean, see, the world has changed. The world has changed. If that was to come out today, that this 45-year-old went to argue with a 6-year-old, people would be, I mean, that would be a joke. That would be just a joke. But that's what used to happen every single day. I was 13 years of age when I left India. I went to the West. And that's what happened every day. People would come to argue. Now, I wasn't going to argue with them. I had nothing to argue about because I wasn't living in the world of beliefs. So if you don't learn and live in the world of beliefs, what do you have to argue about? You know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. So, when it comes to peace, what does it take? Where is peace? What kind of peace? Absence of noise? People actually call peace absence of noise. When it gets quiet, if it's really noisy, it gets quiet. Ah, that's so peaceful. So, what is the problem? Have you not heard of earplugs? Why don't we give everybody on this earth earplugs? 7 billion earplugs. And everybody can put earplugs in their ear and then there will be peace, right? Wrong. Very wrong. So what is peace? Peace begins, first of all, with you. Not with the world, not with your neighbor, not with the neighbor's dog, but it begins with you. And it's your understanding that becomes so important that it does begin with you. Not a belief system, but to know that it begins with you. That when you are in that place of peace, then all is well. All is right. All is correct. I'll tell you a little story. I've been telling this story in India, in Nepal, so I'll tell it to you here too. There was a king, and he was going to go in battle the next day. And he realized that he could die. And he wanted so very badly to go to heaven. So all night long he kept thinking, what is heaven? What is hell? What is heaven? What is hell? Next day, he suited up, got on his horse, off he went. Big army following him. And in his mind, he keeps asking himself, what is heaven? What is hell? What is heaven? What is hell? He saw a wise man coming from the other direction. He said, he must know. Kicked his horse, went over there with his armor and everything ready, suited for war. And he looks at the wise man and says, "Hey, wait." The wise man stopped. The king dismounted, went over to the wise man and said, "I have a question for you. And I'm sure you can tell me. I want to know what is heaven and what is hell." And the wise man said, "Sorry, king, I don't have the time. I'm on my way somewhere, I don't have the time." Upon hearing this, the king was furious. "Don't you know who I am? I'm the king. You don't have time for the king? And I just asked you a simple question that you should know the answer to. And how dare you, all you say to me is, I don't have the time." The wise man looked at the king, smiled, and said, "King, now you are in hell." All this anger that you have, you're in hell. Immediately the king was like, wow. He realized, oh my God, this is a wise man. And what he just said is so profound, so profound. So he immediately dropped to his knees. Thank you. Thank you for opening my eyes. Thank you. I was so arrogant, I had no idea. But what you have just done for me, what you have just told me, is amazing. I'm in debt. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the wise man looked at him and said, "King, now you are in heaven." So, it's a little simple story. But some of you clapped. I don't like to assume. So does that mean you agree with this story? I don't want to assume. I could have assumed, oh yeah, they liked it, they agreed with it. Do you agree with this? Well, let's have a show of hands then. Some of you. In fact, only the minority. The rest of you disagree with this story? You don't like the story or you disagree with the story? What? Do you agree with this story or do you disagree with the story? Well, you have to make up your mind. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? And you have come here to hear about peace? Truly. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? I'm not talking about liking the story. It's a cute little story. That's besides the point. So when the wise man said, "Now you are in hell," was he right? But wait a minute. I thought hell was this place where you got boiled, baked, fried, cut up, I mean, severely painful. And this man, this king, is not being fried. Well, not physically, but he is in anger. He's angry. And the wise man says, now you are in hell. Do you agree with that? So if you do agree with that, how many times a day do you go to hell? Once, twice, 3 times. Easy for you to get mad, right? Easy for you to get upset. And then he says, when the king is full of gratitude, he says, now you are in heaven. How many times a day do you feel gratitude? Now, therefore, some of you are wondering, right? About what? Okay. Let's take the simplest one, all right? Simplest one. Of all the things you could be thankful for, what would be one that is obvious? I mean, really obvious. I mean, simple. You're alive. A lot of people don't think like that.